I thought when I was introduced to this kind of healing that there was perhaps more to the whole kind of concept of being a healer and being a spiritual person on this planet. And I didn't know where to find actual bona fide, concrete tools and have that whole opening occur to find a resource or resources that could really point me in the right direction. So what I'm going to present here is the fruits of a lot of that kind of study and research over many, many decades now. So this is me. I'm Alex Uttermann, for those who don't know. I co-founded UCBK, the Universal Church of Baba's Kitchen, in 2007, I believe. And we've been creating healers. We've been helping people for a long time, or through very, very high spiritual channels. So yeah, oh yeah, that's me, co-founded UCBK. I've been a master healer, a teacher, a minister, and empowering healers since 2000, sharing what I learned in South India at the sort of ground zero, you could say, for spiritual awakening on this planet. Let me see. Okay. People are still coming in. So my vision actually is to help facilitate the creation of 10,000 powerful healers on this planet by the year 2030. It's not that long away. And hundreds of thousands of healed and happy people. How do we do this? By creating more healing masters who can handle the deep, deep, intense suffering and pain of humanity. In case you hadn't noticed, if you look around, the world's a pretty good mess right now. There's a lot of heartbroken, hurting people. And really, at the end of the day, and I'm sure many of you know this, the real solutions are spiritual in nature. It has to come from a massive kind of healing and awakening the consciousness. So my background, yes, I've trained hundreds of healers all over the world, from Singapore, India, in France, certainly in the US. It's been many, many decades of being in the trenches of this work and sharing this very, very high energy from South India and from the tradition of the rishis, the great consciousness characters who embodied and were kind enough to share the depths of mechanisms of mastery. And of course, since the pandemic, we've been doing everything via Zoom. So a lot of online teaching and training, which has just been sublime, actually, with students and interested people from all over the world. So training hundreds of healers, why? What's the point? Really to heal the suffering in our world. I think that's the most succinct way to put it. There are loads of nuances and loads of angles and aspects to this, but that's generally the deal. The number one disease in our planet that underlies every other condition, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, and so on, is heartbreak. You know, there are plenty of hospitals for broken bodies. There are even plenty of hospitals for broken minds. There really is no hospital. There is no facility. There is no organized kind of place to address the broken hearts on our planet. And broken heart doesn't only mean like a romantic disappointment, or it could be someone was raised in a traumatic family of origin. It could be having suffered a lot of abuse and trauma. It could be someone who was raised in a war zone, betrayal by a good friend, betrayal in business, extreme loss, whether it's of a loved one or a beloved pet, or, you know, like that. So heartbreak is the kind of bedrock of the difficulty that our planet is facing. And this tradition is about creating kind of like soul doctors who can handle all of the iterations, all of the variations, all of the different configurations of human heartbreak effectively, to heal what's inside people so that their own system can help them wake up. So toward that end, yes, a lot of hands-on healing work, but also works at a distance, works with groups, works over the internet just as well as it does in person. And my goal is to train as many people as possible to do this kind of high level work so that we can spread more healing, peace, soothing the hearts of this planet, to make way for this consciousness shift that's kind of already happening anyway. So what you get today from this discussion, my plan is to go through a brief slideshow, and then we'll have the current students who are in the one-year mastery program talk about their experiences since August of 2021 in this kind of training and how it's been. And then we'll have like a question and answer so everybody can ask stuff. And at the end, we'll do a healing meditation for everybody, so that you guys can really feel this energy and taste it for yourself. You know, we can talk a lot about things, but it's better to experience it. So what you'll get is a blueprint for miracle healing mastery, an experience of divine healing energy as we do that transmission toward the end, and an expanded vision for your healing life. Good goals. So who's this conversation for? Healers of all kinds, whether they're body workers, energy healers, medical professionals, healthcare folks, mental health professionals, or regardless of discipline, all kinds of healers, especially those who have had this feeling like, no, but there has to be more. There must be more somewhere than the modalities that I use and the experiences that I'm having. The good news, the spoiler alert, yes, there is. Anyone who's interested in deep spirituality, you really want to know, what is this planet? What is the life and death cycles? What is the soul? How does this planet operate? What is going on here? And how can we help in the highest way? Maybe folks who are seasoned meditators, but have that same kind of internal feeling like, and maybe there's more. Folks who are interested in a community of spiritual mastery, of supporting and growing together through a rich tradition, providing tons of tools and techniques, and an ongoing adventure in the self discovery that comes with very, very high spirituality. So where I'm going to talk are three different major pillars of healing mastery. There are three really strong components that I think are required for a real kind of grip on what is happening and how to make a strong difference in our world. So these three pillars would be exact spiritual knowledge and technology. Like, not so many of the traditions that have come around in the healing modes are sort of, you know, kind of, there's some energy and there's a kind of feeling of like throwing pasta at the wall, hoping it sticks. Some of it is, you know, very positive and yet doesn't have the full range, let's say, of what's possible when there are brilliant characters who have come before us and paved the way and actually written it all down, which we'll talk about in a minute. So exact spiritual knowledge and technology, an empowered lineage of spiritual masters. Very, very, very important. I don't, yeah, we'll talk more about that, but I think it's very difficult to succeed in spirituality at a very high level if we're not having some kind of strong lineage of ascended masters generally. And finally, skilled guidance and focus group support. It's very difficult to go it alone. If I've learned anything in my 20 years in these kinds of channels and this sort of energy tradition, it is that it really requires a group for a lot of reasons, but it really, really, really requires a strong group support and a community and a kind of knowledge sharing and commiserating sometimes. And that kind of camaraderie that comes when a group of people are really focused on something powerful. So I'll be talking about that. Could whoever is unmuted, please mute themselves? That would be great. There's some background noise and it's a little trouble. So let's talk about what does this mean if we're discussing exact spiritual knowledge and technology. So what do we mean by that? Well, let's find out. First bit, where did this exact knowledge come from? This tradition that I represent, this kind of spiritual mastery, which I would venture to say is extraordinary in our planet, is quite unique in its expression, especially with respect to training Western people in the ancient knowledge and practices of India. So where did this come from? Ancient manuscripts from India, which were written by top consciousness saints, otherwise called rishis, the cosmic researchers, from thousands of years ago. Some of these manuscripts are 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 years old. This is, you can see a part of a page of one of them there on the right. They wrote on dried palm leaves. So they were literally like stacked palm leaves with these incredible formulas. They wrote, the rishis, they wrote all the miracle energy formulas, the healing processes, really guided by the angels. These manuscripts are the spiritual treasure of humanity. And as it turns out, so everything that you can see on these manuscripts is exact formulas for how the consciousness works, exact explanations about how the energy works in our world, exact commentary on the divine feminine and its influence in our planet, the divine masculine and how it's operating in our planet, and how these kinds of threads come together to create all the problems and disturbances, as well as all of the relief and the healing. So these are some of these ancient palm leaf manuscripts from South India. This entire book here is dedicated to explaining about the role of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So the pages alternate between, you could say, mother and father on the celestial spectrum, and how their energies blend together to create the planet and also to create the miracle energy flowing in our planet. More ancient manuscripts that these great rishis wrote on palm leaves. So the studies that I did and many of my colleagues did in India were based exactly in the knowledge from these manuscripts. So it wasn't somebody, you know, creating it out of their own idea or channeling something or like that. No. This is ancient formulas. More. And brought to the modern world to really help us come up out of the difficulties, the challenges, the illusions that we're all facing in this planet, and to come up especially out of the suffering and the heartbreak that I was talking about before. More. So this particular set of knowledge came from South India and a beautiful place called Penukonda, which is a massive power place on the planet that at this moment is not so well known. I imagine in the next 10 to 15 years, we will see Penukonda almost become a household word. It's a power place unparalleled, really. You know, with the feeling like if people have been to Jerusalem or Machu Picchu or places where there's innate divine power, Penukonda is like that, but maybe times about 1,000. And that knowledge was given to heal us in the West. It's the time, right? I think everybody's feeling that because our hearts really need it. But also this knowledge was given to train us in the West because our world really needs more healing masters, more than ever, to be able to handle the conditions that people are facing, to be able to go to the underlying source of it, the primordial heartbreaks, and do the repair work on the souls at that level. So pillar one, the right knowledge. Second, having an empowered lineage of spiritual masters, which brings me to Kaleshwar, Sri Kaleshwar, who is the spiritual master that we can all say thank you to for bringing this kind of knowledge back to humanity. You can see he's holding one of the palm leaf manuscripts there. Part of his dharma his mission in life was to train Western healers. And Western means Europeans, Americans, Canadians, South Americans, also Japanese, basically anybody who's not in India, let's say it like that, in order to handle the miracle energy and bring the real mastery to the planet again. after some thousands of years of this kind of bridge of this knowledge having been broken. And somehow the West only got little bits and pieces of this kind of energy. So Kaleshwar himself was a miracle healing saint. That was his reputation. He was known for manifesting incredible, miraculous things. When I say miracles, I don't mean like, oh, and there was a synchronicity that happened to me today. No, I mean outright in your face, unbelievable miracles. This photo was taken in Mill Valley in 1997 when he began his outreach to the West. He was at the time 24 years old. He wanted that day for a group of people to be either very lifelong meditators or healers, both. And he had a rose in his hand at a certain point during the day's program. He ignited the rose just by his intention. The rose, and you can see it catching fire there. That's not photoshopped or altered in any kind of way. That's literally the photo of the moment. Then the rose burned in his hand to ash, did not burn him. And he used that ash, that healing substance from this miraculous demonstration, if you will, of using the fire like that. He put that ash on everyone's third eyes that day, and miraculous healings happened to people, many of whom had been having chronic pain, diseases, all sorts of conditions stemming from, years of being alive on the planet and working in the healing traditions without really having any way to offload all the stress and the pain that they were relieving people from. So they had also had it built up to physical illnesses and problems gone that day with just that transmission from the ash. So his stance was, yes, I have supernatural abilities. It's true. I worked very hard for them, and everyone has supernatural abilities. My job is to approach the people who are willing to do hard work, and I will teach them everything that I know. That was his basic stance, and it really flew in the face of the Indian tradition generally. There were many contemporary saints at the time who were very angry with him for giving this to Western people, but he would just shrug his shoulders and say, listen, it's the time. That bridge needs to be reinstated between the East and the West. And anybody who's willing to do hard work, they can learn this. So this is, that was a bird who had been dead and was brought back to life. And right after it's been brought back to life, it was dead for about 3 days. He was preparing a group of students to experience that. And then right as the sun was coming up, they released the bird back into nature. So this is pretty heavy mechanics of understanding the life and death, understanding how you can bring a soul that has left a body back into a body, right? We're kind of in the realm of the miracles that Jesus did during his lifetime, right? Raising the dead being one of them. It's the same technology, in fact, and we can say with certainty that Christ studied from the same manuscripts that I just showed you a bit earlier. So this was a solid emerald stone. You can see it there in the middle, that he manifested in 2002 with the help of 2 students that he was training as masters out of this pile of sand that was over here in the corner on the right. And immediately once it came into existence, that it's called a Shiva Lingam, that emerald, it's solid emerald, it looks actually very bright green, that photo makes it look very dark, began to emit fluid called Amrita. Amrita is the nectar of immortality. It's very like a honey-like substance, but super divine, very celestial. And within a few hours, it would cover the whole floor in that room. That Amrita was used to help students wake up by tasting a little bit of it or using it on their third eyes. Also, it brought dead birds back to life and helped facilitate many miraculous things happening there. This Kaleshwar in the US in 2009, giving a powerful fire homa with the energy of the sun. And I think you can see all the, what people call orbs, or my understanding is that they are angels. They're all the like divine beings who like to come around very holy experiences, places, and people. And you can see that there were just literally legions of them there, including like you can even see sort of mandala or yantra shapes in the structures that were there. Just giving you a flavor of this miracle energy so we're clear what we're talking about here. Kaleshwar giving a healing to someone many years back on the rocks in an abandoned temple town in India. That's a very powerful place. And you can see as he's giving what they call Shaktipat in the Indian tradition, transferring the energy to the third eye, there seems to be another hand there coming right out of the ethers. And yeah, so there is. So it's a very practical, I would say, tradition as well, changing people's lives, either one person at a time or groups at a time or however it is. And the third sort of, well, not third pillar of it, but the further commentary on an empowered lineage of spiritual masters. Kaleshwar was a kind of ambassador, we could say, of this ancient knowledge that has been on the planet and kept very secret, usually by the great masters of India for millennia, so that people wouldn't misuse it, because there has been a history, as I'm sure everyone's aware of spiritual people really misusing divine energy for their own nefarious purposes and kind of derailing a lot of consciousness in this planet from waking up. So Kaleshwar would say, hey, I'm a messenger, and these are the kinds of characters who are part of, there are just a few. These, I would say, are like the top 6. There are many, many hundreds and thousands of great saints, many of whom we don't know their names, who are part of this sort of lineage of masters. But these characters are the direct allies and the direct energy sources of the information and this kind of healing knowledge coming again to humanity after so long. Here's a Kaleshwar quote: "Open your heart to those around you, and I will be there." The blessings of the Guru Parampara, this kind of a lineage of saints, will find you wherever you are on the globe. So this kind of mastery is really talking about being of service to other people. It's really talking about helping from whatever capacity we're able to the highest degree that we're able. I'll be right back. Hang on just a moment. So when our heart is open to serve, even we don't know who these masters are, even though maybe that wasn't our initial reason for going into the healing arts or going into spirituality, but whenever your heart is open to help, automatically the divine souls, the celestial realm, is helping you do your work. I think that's a beautiful point, actually. So who are these masters? Well, Christ. It turns out he had quite a rich life in India and studied these same kinds of miracle healing abilities in order to gain his capacity as the greatest healer who ever walked on our planet and the greatest exponent of the healing traditions from India. Lord Buddha, same, right? I mean, I think everybody knows Buddha was an Indian prince, right? Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Sri Ramakrishna was the great Kali saint who was very deep with Divine Mother back in the day, in the 1800s especially. He's the first saint who was very open about his relationships with the Divine Mother as Kali. Really the first time. Most saints kept that very private and very quiet. Maybe they would tell one student, but Ramakrishna was quite open about his relationship with the Divine Feminine in a very fierce way. And also he is the first yogi who sent his major student to America to blast open the West for the first time in thousands of years with the yogic tradition of India. He sent Vivekananda, who came to the World Parliament of Religions in 1893 and brought the house down simply by embodying the divine energy from India again, or on this continent. So yeah, very, very great team of allies of celestial masters. Shirdi Sai Baba, the great miracle healing saint of the 1800s and into the early 1900s, who is when he was alive, was a very humble character. He lived his life as a beggar. He was a miracle healing saint on the scale of Jesus, for example. And his role was to help foster, and it still is actually, just he's not in a physical body anymore, to help foster the and fuel the spiritual wake up that's going on our planet today. He's also the direct master of Kaleshwar. Mahavatar Babaji, for those of you who know Autobiography of a Yogi and know about Yogananda and his lineage, Babaji is like the great, great, great grandfather guru working in conjunction with Christ to take care of this human plane and help everybody wake up and come up out of the heartbreaks. So, and finally, Ramana Maharshi, who again was a great saint of India. I think he died in the 1960s. Mostly his angle was embodying the silence, the pure consciousness in a physical form. So it's really helpful to have these kinds of high consciousness, like the top consciousness characters behind us when we're trying to figure out, what are we doing in this planet? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? What happens after we die? Where did we come from? Right? Where did you come from when you incarnated in this planet? To have the exact proper knowledge written down, codified, cemented, and processes and formulas that actually bring an enormous amount of awareness and energy from solid spiritual characters is a real blessing, actually, to this planet. So here's Kaleshwar with Christ. He made a Jesus temple on his center, on his ashram in South India, where there is a kind of living presence of Jesus there, out of respect and admiration for Christ's having been the original bridge point between the East and the West back 2,000 years ago. This is sitting at the feet of a statue of his master, Shirdi Sai Baba, also in South India. Just random beautiful things from the energy there. It's nice to show the energy of Panokonda. I think everybody can feel it. This is the training. So I lived on his center for 5 straight years and then went back and forth from America for another 7 until he left his body in 2012. So during that time, he put us through the real paces of extreme mastery training. It was very difficult. It was very rigorous. It was extremely challenging. It was a fantastic adventure in the world of the miraculous and also in the world of the depth of healing. Hundreds of techniques, hundreds of tools, hundreds of explanations of the mechanisms of how everything operates, how it works together, and how we can use exact specific energy formulas to really help pretty much any configuration of suffering or challenge that someone is experiencing who comes in front of us. Yes, people during those years, I lived there from 2000 to 2005, and it was when Harry Potter was really taking off worldwide. And people would say, oh, are you reading these Harry Potter books? Have you seen these? And honestly, I was living it. So I didn't feel like I wanted to read anything fictitious at the time, because we were really in kind of wizardry training, to be honest, and seeing miraculous things like dead birds coming back to life and objects coming out of nothing. And students were also doing these things. So it wasn't only Kaleshwar. He really lived up to his promise to put it all out on the table and to teach everything that he knew, which is stunning. Most great masters and saints won't do that. They don't have the guts. This is a big program in Panokonda 2011, just to give that flavor of what kind of beautiful energy that is. Where are the female spiritual leaders? Asked Jacqueline. Very good question. I know there must have been a ton, and I'm curious why the guys teach the feminine energy when they are not in the experience of the female form. Well, first off, in this lifetime, they're not in female form. Secondly, it is of note that the Kaleshwar students, and Jesus before him actually, 2/3 of them are female. So his business is creating female masters. I think there's a big dearth in our planet. It's been challenging for women because of the female energy system. It's kind of an amazing phenomenon, but women, we gain energy obviously much more quickly than men do. Sorry, guys. If a woman meditates like 3 hours and a guy meditates like 3 weeks, it's roughly equivalent to charging the energy of the soul to be able to handle the energy. However, women lose it very quickly through big emotional swings and through menstrual cycles. We lose an enormous amount of energy every month through the blood, decharging a lot of the stress that we've picked up from the world, but also just kind of like cleaning out the whole system. So it makes it kind of a rocky and a bumpy energy mechanism for women to be able to hold that kind of energy. Well, I mean, in the situation of Christ, Jacqueline writes, I'm surprised we aren't learning their names. Christ's inner circle were actually 12 women, not 12 men. And we see who won the power struggle there and who wrote the histories. So it's been a kind of ugly game with the male characters who were perhaps less than scrupulous, purporting themselves to be the great characters and sort of putting the feminine down by the wayside, out of cultural stuff, out of jealousy, out of a lot of things. So it's a big thing. However, I can say happily that at this point in our planet, or the women masters are coming up strongly as a kind of rebalancing of that. And Kalashwar himself, he made it very clear he preferred the women. He was giving hundreds of techniques only for women to enhance and advance our capacity as spiritual masters, in a kind of resetting the energy of the mother divine. And to your point about how can these guys be teaching about the divine feminine when they're in a male form, it's very interesting. Opposites attract. I can say that honestly. So the male characters really, at a certain point, they really hold very strongly the energy of the mother, of the divine mother, especially in her fierce kind of forms like Kali or whatever. The women, when they get to a certain high level in spirituality as masters, they're actually holding more of the divine masculine energy. They're holding the extreme silence, the incredible clarity, the profound command of the energy of the nature, of the energy of the mother. So it's a very interesting thing that we're in these opposite forms, yet representing the energy, or predominantly, let's say, of course, they're masculine and feminine are totally intertwined and actually inseparable, but for the purposes of our creation of duality and forms, we break it down like that. There's this kind of quality of the male energy, there's this kind of quality of the female energy. So it's interesting that we become kind of like ambassadors for the opposite energy and embodying actually the alleged opposite there. That's a real tantra, I can say. Here's Kalashwar in US with our group in 2011. We had the joy to have him to our temple there, and he was training us in the exact experiences that Jesus had gone through during his life, including helping us literally meet Christ at one point in South India. That was something. Yes, my 35th birthday, many, many moons ago. In India. And at any given time, I would say there were maybe 60 of us living there, training intensely. On the larger programs, there would be several hundred people coming from worldwide. So this kind of tradition, it wasn't for the faint of heart, and it wasn't for people who, it wasn't for the masses, let's say it like that. When he was in the US, Kalashwar had the opportunity to go on Oprah, and he absolutely turned it down. The feeling was, hey, someone with these miracle abilities really could show that kind of thing, on a mass scale. He said, no, he was interested in pulling only the few students who really wanted to do the hard work and learn all this stuff, because it's not easy. And it's really requires, it requires a really stalwart capacity to be willing to drop so much of our belief systems, to drop so much of our egoism, to drop a lot of characteristics that we may not even be aware that we have until we get in the high energy and suddenly, oh my God, all of a sudden I'm crazy green-eyed jealous of other people, or I'm really, really, really feeling left out, or I'm really incredibly arrogant, or one gets to experience oneself in all kinds of unpleasant ways in this kind of energy, because it's kind of healing all of the aspects of humanity in each of us. And it takes a lot of wherewithal to sit through that and not run away. Let me say it like that. So the third aspect of spiritual mastery is really skilled guidance and focused group support. So, so, so important to have, number one, somebody who knows what they're doing. I hope I do. I've been at this for a while now. And also to have a really strong group walking through these kinds of experiences together, it really makes it so much easier. It's almost, my estimation at this point is it's almost impossible to go it alone to achieve the highest levels of consciousness and mastery in this planet. It really does require a group. And so, yes, I've been doing this for a long time and training hundreds of healers all over the world in these kinds of channels and in this type of tradition of mastery from A to Z, which is a kind of tall order, actually. There's a whole group of us in India back in 2011. So, so that led me to create, after all the years of teaching and healing and training people, and it was when Kaleshwar was alive, you know, he would come to the US for programs, and of course Europe and Japan as well. But so generally, like our students from UCBK would go to all the programs, they would go to India to receive advanced teaching and different experiences there, you know, very supernatural, very high level consciousness experiences and miracle things. And over years and years and years and years of doing that, when the pandemic hit, I thought, you know, I should really do like a 1-year training program, like a kind of soul university, or that's extremely focused and taking folks who are interested and who are willing to do the hard work and have that inspiration to help humanity in the highest way possible through a pretty rigorous year worth of the details and the meditation processes and the hardcore learning the tools and the technology about how to handle this kind of energy and this kind of healing mastery. So currently there are 4 people in the program, and we're going to hear from them today, which I'm very excited about. And we started in August of 2021. My goal is to start another one probably April of 2022 and have that overlap with the first year university students, and then a new group coming in. If people have that inspiration, if they really want to go deep and learn the depths of the mechanisms of this planet and how to use them to help in a really, really high way. So how does this program help you? Well, it helps you access powerful healing and self-healing systems with palpable results. I think you'll hear from the group about, while this may seem wild and esoteric and out there, these ancient palm leaves and these ascended masters and all that, the techniques and the tools themselves are unbelievably practical, like super grounded. And they make visible differences both in our own self-healing as well as what we're able to share with others. The ancient spiritual knowledge for practical transformation. You can access a rapid shift through having these exact tools, mantras, which are very high level formulas, exact to the energies. Like if you put white light through a prism, you'll end up with a rainbow, right? It's a whole spectrum of colors and gradations of the white light. It's only ever one thing, right? We're all one, we know that. But in this world, there are infinite variations of human beings and of the complications and the difficulties that they're facing. So how to access the exact right vibration tool to help someone who, let's say, has a chartreuse problem versus someone who has a bright blue problem. That's what this tradition is like. And so all of these tools, the mantras, the yantras, which are like the diagrams like this, the meditation processes are helping to learn that spectrum and address whatever is ailing humanity. So creating like soul doctors, right, to handle the configurations of heartbreak. Structured guidance and group support to create spiritual success. Yes, it's kind of like a PhD level of spiritual instruction and teachings. That's how Kaleshwar would call it when he put us through all those paces. And definitely I see that that's the feeling of this kind of program now, that it's equipping people to handle this, the suffering of humanity with a lot of knowledge, energetic support, awareness, deepening sort of experience on handling different cases and what people are facing, and being confident as a healer to address pretty much whatever ails somebody. It's not guessing in that sense, although of course trial and error is part of the process. And finally, certifying people as a teacher and a healer in this tradition, like a 1-year certificate, empowering people to teach some of these systems as well by the end of the year. So that's, I believe, my story. Well, with Healing Mastery, you can make a powerful difference every single day in your life, in your healing journey, in the lives of family and friends, in your whole community, and in our greater world and the global family. Depends how far you want to go and what kind of focus you want to have, to be honest. So getting what you really want. You know, when I first met Kaleshwar back in 1999, one of the first things he asked me was, what do you really deeply want in your life? And honestly, I don't know that anyone had ever asked me that question before. I certainly had never asked myself that question before. And it really gave me pause, like, oh, well, actually, if I could do anything, I'd want to be like that. I'd want to be a kind of healing master who could command the time and space continuum and help people in an extraordinary way and transform their illness into wellness instantly. You know, I had encountered people for whom Kaleshwar had healed terminal cancers within 5 minutes. He had helped people negate the symptoms of HIV back in the day when it was still experimental and scary, scarier than it is now. You know, all kinds of healing miracles. And so I wanted that. I was already working as a healer, but it was Reiki and it felt like a lot of guesswork. It didn't feel like anybody really knew the nuts and bolts of how the energy works. And some people are very happy like that. Well, the energy does its work and that's fine. Great. My nature is restless. Like if I'm driving a car, if it breaks down, I want to also know what's under the hood and how to fix it. And I feel like that's what was on the table that was so inspiring to me. And I had never heard about the possibility of that. So that's what I came to understand that I really wanted. I really wanted it. I just didn't know it at the moment. So getting what you really want, you know, the first challenge is, what do you really want as a healing presence in this world? What do you want? If the sky's the limit, what do you want? Would you want to be able to operate on the healing capacity like a Jesus, for example? Why not? What does it cost you if you're not developing your highest potential as a healing presence in this world? And what does it cost the world if you're not developing your highest potential as a healing presence? I feel like at this moment, especially the sort of turning point in humanity's consciousness, it's all hands on deck. You know, this world needs its top healers, I think, more than ever. And that's what's on the table here. So I think I'm gonna stop the screen share. And if anybody would like to ask any questions, just use the little raise the hand thingy, if you don't mind, because there's a lot of people here and it might be hard to see somebody physically raising a hand or like that. Or it would be great actually to hear from our characters who are in the current mastery programs. So Marinella and Vasilika, they're two sisters in Massachusetts. Can you talk about your healing journey in this life? I know it's been a large spiritual search. What was it like before coming to this kind of a program, and what's it been like since? How is it now?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today, first of all, and thank you, Alex, for being such an amazing teacher, and so grateful for you and all this group that it's so supportive. And like you said before, you can't do it alone. You need a supportive group and all these amazing healers. So yes, the difference is like, it's hard to compare, comparing from, started about 3 years ago, going to different spiritual finding what, the purpose. I knew what I was looking for, and I did like a 2-year spiritual healing with a different teacher. And by the end of that, I was like, no, this is not it. This is not it. I knew something deeper. I knew, like, I really want to know how everything works, the deeper level. I knew that was not it. It was great. You know, I'm grateful for that, but I knew that was not it. And I was always praying and searching for it. Then, of course, I found you, and I'm like, yes, finally, I know this is the truth. It's so amazing to actually finally know the truth about everything, how creation works, how everything makes sense now, and how everything is connected, and having the right information, having the right education and the right healing techniques, and to be like 100% quicker than what I've learned before. It's not you have to do all of this stuff before, like quick, you say the mantra, everything, and you can help people instantly instead of just taking the time or trying to prepare and stuff like that. And it's been so magical, and so, and it's hard to describe with words, but the feeling, like, I'm very, very grateful for this, to finally know the truth about how everything works in our world, and to get the true information, and to get all these divine energies and all these amazing gurus. And it's just, I have no words for it. It's so beautiful, and transform not just our lives and our family and our friends, but people every day, like clients that work every day, people that I bump into every day. It's amazing to be able to help anyone that they don't even have to know about it. You know, it's like you talk with people all day and you're like, okay, they have a problem. You can immediately, you have a solution for it. You can say a mantra, you can just send them healings right away. And that's our purpose, to help as many people as we can. And more those people get healed, the more the world gets healed better. And that's how you can spread the light and open up their hearts. That's our goal, to open up their hearts to heal. So yeah. It's beautiful, magical.
Yeah, beautiful. So the techniques in this tradition are, you would say, more practical maybe than some of the other spiritual systems you learned. Is that right?
Yes. It's, all those spiritual techniques, you have to kind of take the time and build this and build that. Where in this, for example, I'm a hairstylist in everyday life, and I deal with clients all day long. And, they throughout talking to me, and whatever problem they bring up, I'm like, okay, I start saying the mantra in my head, and just by the end of the appointment, they feel better. They're hugging me and thanking me. They don't even know what happened, but and it's beautiful. They come back and they're like, oh, I feel so good every time I come see you, and stuff like that. And it's so nice and so beautiful. It's so rewarding for me to like see that and to hear that, on people. And that's reward. That's all I want. And it's beautiful, and it's so, like, so practical, and it's so quick and so fast. The energy is like immediate.
Yeah,
it goes up right away, intention, and boom, it's right there. It's not a lot of thinking or a lot of it's yeah, the mantras are so powerful, each and every one of them. No matter what you use, it's not just like one technique that I'm like, oh my god, I just love that one. It's all of them we learned so far. They each have this powerful light and powerful healing that it's amazing. It comes to you, whatever that person needs at the moment, and it just works.
Hello. Yes. It's very good to have a lot of techniques at the ready to be able to deploy right in the right moment. So these guys have been at it since August. They've learned a lot of systems and a lot of different tools and techniques, and it's that fun stage where you get to like play with them, right? Oh, that person's in trouble this way. Let me try this technique I learned. Let me try this formula. And as you're saying, it just comes spontaneously in the intuition. You know it because you've been over them so many times, doing the mantras and doing the meditations to empower these techniques, that in the moment, and it doesn't matter where you are, right? You're in the beauty salon and you're helping the people who come in front of you. It doesn't have to be a formal healing situation with, whatever, incense and candles. And I mean, it can be, no doubt, but also this kind of like whoever comes in front of you gets a huge blessing, gets some kind of shift, gets some sort of weight taken off of them. So Farah asked, how do I know I have healing potential? Every human being has it, period, flat statement. Every human being. Now, what we do with that potential and that spark in ourselves, that's another question. But yes, and Reka asked, will this presentation be available to watch again later or share with others? Yes. Yeah, I'll make some version or some recording of it available. Yes, 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 of course. Yeah. So thank you. Vasilika, do you have anything to add there? Like,
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. Hello, everyone. So grateful to be with all of you and sharing my experience. Yes, I was always searching, for myself, always searching for God, and whatever word you put on, universe, however you call it. And I also was in a different, with a different teacher and learned, yes, so grateful for them and for all the techniques that I learned. But comparing to that, to this, it's total like night and day, because these techniques really work. It's like, because when you learn the knowledge, this knowledge is totally different. I don't think there is any other learning, energy learning like this one, because it's not just, okay, you're gonna learn this one technique and you're done. But you have the support of these ascended masters that are there for you if you open your heart.
Yeah.
And, that's why it plays such a huge role, because, we opened up our hearts and in our personal life, and open up our hearts to that, and to be able to see that everyone has that potential. Yeah. Every human being on earth has that potential. And that's what we want. We want to open people's hearts so they can heal, because we know everyone can heal. Every human being can heal if they open up their hearts. Yeah. So if we even if we play a little role on that to like open up their hearts, and so grateful, we can, do it together. And with all of you, it's just, to help a human being, that's the most amazing thing you can do in their soul, because soul is forever. Like, this is just a physical body we have for now, but to help on a soul level, that's what more do we want? That's what we want, to help them, because we know you're still healing, of course, because you always still heal, but knowing that the healing that we had on our personal level and like, wow, it's like, it's
and these techniques are not just only on the human level. These techniques go deeper, go on the soul level. Yeah. And healing the soul, this is our goal. Or this is our goal and our master's goal, because everything, comes from there. All our problems that we have here on the body, they come from the soul. Yeah. So that's why, and no matter where you come from or whatever is your story, because we all have a story, you will find healing for yourself, and you will find, you'll find that purpose, or, this will help you to find your purpose. And if you feel like you want to heal yourself and everybody else that is going to come in front of you, this is it. This is it. Yeah. And open your hearts and just receive.
So beautiful. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm remembering. So Desiree is asking, Farah asked, is there a difference between Reiki and this kind of energy therapy? And yes, I could remember, based on what these ladies are saying as well, back when I first encountered this energy, it came to me through Jonathan Rosen, who had been a 2-year student already of Kalashwar when I met Jonathan first and then Kalashwar within a few weeks. And Jonathan, at a certain point, he knew I was a healer. I was a Reiki healer and also doing a lot of facilitating breath work for people. And through the course of that, remembering quite a lot about the role of breath and learning the energy as I went, but it seemed very haphazard and random and not making sense to me. Anyway, Jonathan said to me at one point when we got to know each other, he said, would you like a transmission? You know, a kind of healing from this kind of energy. I said, of course. Yeah, I'm very open. Yeah, sure. And so I remember I was sitting on my massage table, cross-legged, and he put his thumb on my third eye and he started to transfer the energy like that. And it knocked me down. It physically, I remember I fell over my crossed legs on the massage table and just went into the deepest, unbelievable state. I remember seeing the origins of creation, literally seeing how the energy came together to form this everything, universes. And I was like, what? And I remember I was there for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes, because when I came out of this deep, deep trance state of just, wow, like celestial contact, I was really stiff because I had fallen over my my crossed legs. I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of sit up like a kind of drunk person. And I look over, Jonathan is sitting very quietly on my little couch meditating. And I said, what was that? What was that? And he said, oh, that's the Kalashwar energy. And my response was, that I want. Are you kidding me? It blew every energetic experience I had ever had out of the water. I mean, really. And as I began training in this kind of systems, there are many, and they address all different like chakra and areas in the human body. They address the elements that we're made of, the 5 elements, the earth, the fire, the sky, the water, the air, and bring them into balance. That's like the basic kind of entry-level meditations and healing in this tradition. As I began doing that, I realized, oh my God, like I had become a Reiki master trying to get to the truth of the energy. And unfortunately, Reiki is like one energy channel, and it's very beautiful, and it, helps a lot of people. It's one flavor of energy. This tradition is hundreds. And so it's just like a kind of level up, I would say, in how many different energy streams and understandings one can master and use for the benefit of humanity. Because for some people, a certain type of energy would be more helpful to them in their situation than a different kind of energy, and Reiki being one flavor of that kind of light spectrum of colors that I was talking about before. So I hope that answers the question. For me, Reiki seemed like the entry level to understand something about energy and that it was real. And this tradition, the energy of these kind of like cosmic mother and father, divine feminine and masculine energy purpose through these saints is really in a class by itself, I would say. Is there a healing technique I can give away today? Well, not exactly, but we are going to do a healing meditation for everybody to close this meeting. So you'll get to experience something, and you can have your intention for what you would like to have shifted or blessed in your life as part of that. And then we'll see if something magical results from that. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Nathan, also in the mastery program. Hello, Nathan. Would you like to talk about anything? What was it like before this tradition? What's it been like after? You've been a healer and a shamanic character in your own right for a long time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I had I've been on this sort of healing journey most of my life, just because that's kind of what the cards played out for me in my childhood, forcing me to really have to heal. So when I was younger, in my early 20s, I did a lot of training around clairvoyance and had been doing a lot of work reading people, healing people through that system. And it helped a lot to heal me, no doubt. It was really instrumental in making sure I didn't like walk out of here. And, you know, one of the things I realized in that clairvoyant training is now I kind of look at this from this perspective. We're spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical beings, and we have these different aspects, parts of ourselves. And the clairvoyance really hit on the spiritual and sort of mental sides of development and healing. And then I really realized I needed to do a lot more physical healing, and I worked with a naturopathic doctor. And then I really realized I needed more emotional healing. And then I did shamanic work, which was really good Mexican shamanism. But I still felt like, even though I was touching on all these areas, I was still kind of not solid. And I really knew that if I wanted to go out and teach in a really more powerful way, if I really wanted to heal people in a more powerful way, I really had to have sort of that real embodied strength and like calm almost within myself. And so circumstances threw me out of my job last year. Through a mutual friend, I met Alex, got a healing. And as I was getting out of this job, and you know, I'd still been working with clients on the side like 10% of the time. And I was really like, you know, Jesus energy would show up, and I knew something was up. And I was like, well, what would I want to teach? I said, well, I'd want to know the miracles of Jesus. Like, what did he do? And so then I met Alex, and then I got invited to come to California to help escort this statue that you saw in that beginning picture of Alex, that Black Shirdi Sai Baba statue, this divine character, part of this Guru Parampara, and escort it down. I had just all these mystical, magical experiences all along the way, and a lot of healing. And then I stayed in Los Angeles and started up in the Healing Mastery program, which I'll say, you know, part of the program is to get healings. And luckily for me, I was in LA for a while, and I was able to get in-person healings with Alex. And I think it was that, and just, you know, there's some certain processes where you work on the elements. It just really created this inner like stability and strength and kind of like feeling of healing that I don't, you know, I've been searching and doing a lot for a long time. I mean, thrown down so many times on so many different modalities. And this really brought it home for me in a certain way. The suffering that I always felt was never quite go away is gone. Like I can't describe it in any other way. So needless to say, I'm pretty sold on this. And I would also say, you know, it's powerful. You know, the healing techniques that I've used on other people, they do help. They help decharge energy. They help people get space. They help people get lighter. They help people in a lot of great ways. But this does work on that soul level. It just, I don't know how it, I mean, I understand like from the classes on a certain perspective how they work, but it does get to that soul level healing where I'm just not quite sure other modalities, techniques, and systems are able to affect. And so that's been really powerful. You know, just even giving mantras to people. I've had, you know, one woman, she's this older 84-year-old woman, and she's just so much calmer. And her whole interaction with her son has been very problematic, has just changed. Or this one woman who's getting sexual harassed all the time, she just totally turned that around. And that's just one of many just different examples. So I'm still, you know, learning and experimenting and doing little experiments with my colleagues in the class and with other clients. You know, I've done healings for, you know, long distance for children that have been really, you know, changing for them in terms of their ability to be more embodied. There's a lot of different things that I've been doing, and you know, just playing with the healing with my friends in the car, and they're like, whoa, I have to go, we got to go get something to eat now, because that's just really shifting me, you know, stuff like, you know, just fun things, but interesting things that are happening. So is it, awesome? Yes. Is it a lot of work? Hell yes. Is it something that just anybody would want to do? Well, people like me, well, I like it, but I would say, just know going into it, you're going to change. So you got to be ready for that, right? Like, be open to the change. And then I think if you're willing to change, then hey man, sign up. But it's a big commitment, but it's a worthwhile commitment. I mean, you're really gonna get what you put into it, and more than that. I mean, just the healing alone, getting out of the suffering. My God, if you're suffering, do this, or work with someone here that can help you with suffering. I mean, Alex, the broken hearts, they get healed. You don't think, you're like, oh, it's helpless. And like, sometimes I thought that, but it's not.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. What are like the top 3 tools or techniques that have really impressed you? Let's say it like that.
Number 1, really the womb chakra teachings are just, oh my God. If you could take any class, like standalone from Alex, I would say the womb chakra. It really just heals you at such a deep level. Really gets at the karmas, it gets at the desires. It just really brings that rootedness and that calm to you. And I think that's what people really are looking for, is that peace, stillness, and calmness they just can't hold on to, I think if you can just get that to people, that's 90% of their problem, just getting that there. So I would say the womb chakra, and just, there's so many healing modalities with that. I really also like this work around what they call the Sri chakra, which connects you to the womb of the mother. I use that technique almost every other day. I'm probably doing at least one healing on one person a day at a minimum. And it can really connect you with some really powerful healing energies, and it heals you. I remember I've been doing this so much that, energy will just start purging out of me at certain points, like blocks and crap. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to lay down or something, but it's really powerful and healing.
That's a beautiful thing that you mentioned too, that I think is worth commenting on. A lot of people may feel, if you're not somehow already involved in some healing modality, oh, I could never do that because I have so much stuff going on internally myself, right? I need so much healing. How could I possibly even think about healing someone else? And I will say, so many of us came to this kind of tradition because we had a need, right? Because we were suffering, because there was a heartbreak or a deep pain somewhere. And the glory of it is, as we learn how to heal other people and start putting that in motion, exactly what Nathan is saying, the self-healing is tied into the act of healing other people. So it's not as though, well, I have to get to a certain level and maybe 5 years from now I could think about helping someone else. No, it happens very quickly. It happens within a few weeks or a few months, that suddenly there's enough space in us through doing these techniques and these practices that the act of reaching out and helping someone else through this kind of energy brings us even more healing, more understanding, more inner peace, more depth of capacity inside. So it's a symbiotic experience. It's not compartmentalized. Well, there's healing me and there's healing other people. No, actually, it's all kind of jumbled together. And it's, from my point of view, after all these decades of it, it's magnificent. Because it means
I'll also say, I'm trying it out. They said this will work. Well, let's find out.
Right. Perfect.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Jesus said, greater work shall you do than I have done. Well, if I can't do it through this, then where can I?
Perfect.
So I want to see what can happen. We'll see, but a lot of good things are happening. That's one thing I can say.
Gorgeous. Wow. Thank you. Ruben, do you want to add anything?
Yes. I just wanted to say, Swami Kaleshwar is known as a shortcut master. So for those of us who we're doing our research, you're getting these very practical tools, and then you you do your own research, and then you have the evidence of the good showing up like that, and that's one thing that you'll really notice, that it's a very immediate change and shift. For me, this was like going into this program and coming into these teachings has been a real blessing and a very logical progression. As far as my life goes, I guess what really set me on the path of wanting to know about healing and how we create health, as opposed to looking at disease, was I came from, I'm the child of 2 medical doctors. And I remember being like, just shook to the core when I saw my grandmother's body, when I ran alone into the funeral home and touched her cold flesh. And I was like, what is this? I was raised in a Catholic tradition, and the whole subject of death was very taboo. And then when I was a teenager, I used to bring my cousin. She, at the age of 2, was diagnosed with a very rare brain tumor under the base of her brain. And I used to bring her to the children's hospital every day for chemo and radiation. And I just saw her go through that. And it was, at the point where they said, nothing's working, this experimental treatment isn't working, and we're going to make funeral arrangements. And and then all of a sudden she just had a miraculous recovery. So to me, it was like, what is that mechanism? What is this? How do we create health, or how do we get out of this suffering? It was really like I think that the events that pushed me on this path. So later I had studied with other masters, and I'd heard about people who could do miracles. And I was like, who are these people? They think they're Jesus Christ healing the blind or helping people get out of wheelchairs. That's baloney. I was so jealous. I was like, this is not possible. I was just doubting. Sure enough, it's very, I learned later, oh, okay, that's really quite very possible, and then I came across the book, the Real Life and Teachings of Jesus Christ, that Kaleshwar wrote. And there it is, affirmations right there. And then I start to understand, those are channels, and there's a way to actually develop these, and it's not just for one person, it's for everyone, like Alex said.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
Waking up, Swami said, wake up, wake up, wake up. And that's what taking this course is, helping everyone to wake up. So, and I have a great family, Sai family. I can go to anyone and ask for help, and everyone is just so willing to share. And so I can't speak highly enough about this program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds insane, doesn't it, to think, well, perhaps we could heal like a Jesus, and yet that's what's required to help humanity. Put bluntly. Thank you for that, Reuven. It's really helpful, I think, for people to hear. So does anybody else have any questions or comments? Because I'm thinking we could share the energy and go to a meditation as well. Do these teachings include any of the other ascended masters like Saint Germain or Kutumi, etc.? So many are wrapped into this lineage of saints, so many. Now that's a larger discussion than the scope of this, but the short answer is yes. Many, 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 many. And someone earlier was mentioning females, and there are many great, unbelievable top consciousness women throughout human history who are also part of this lineage of saints. Many, including Lala Yogeshwari, who was a great medieval era mystic and saint, astounding character, including Sardama, who was the wife of Sri Ramakrishna, who went on to outlive him by decades and train all of his students in higher experiences of Mother Divine, including Yogeshwari, who was the main initiator of Sri Ramakrishna. There are so many women saints who are largely unsung, but they're all part of this tradition as well. So yes, short answer is yes. Swami explains, says Reuven, all the miracle healing saints learned and mastered the very same material being taught in this course. Yes, if they're demonstrating miracle abilities, some way, some angle, in some lifetime, they were exposed to this exact knowledge. And we're talking about also Buddha. So that means all the whole lineage of the Buddhist saints. We're talking about Christ. So we see many, especially in Catholicism, many of the Christian saints who had miraculous abilities like Francis of Assisi and so on. They were also linked to this direct knowledge from India, which is pretty fascinating. Yes, Mother Mary, of course, and Magdalene as well. Astounding yoginis, I would say. Female saints with a very, very high consciousness capability. So there's that. Yeah, any other questions, anybody? Or let's meditate, shall we? So what I would, I'm gonna go back to my screen share here. So we're gonna go a few minutes over our time. I hope that's okay. We started a couple minutes late. And yes, this is being recorded, and so we will share this with peeps after. And let me see. So where I'm going to go here is, yes, so let's talk about spiritual technology, which also Ruben and Nathan were referencing, that these are mantras that involve actual technology. They're not just random syllables put together, you know, for some random purpose. They're really purposed and specific. So mantra itself is a technology, and that technology is ancient. The art of sound, I think everybody knows, goes way back, you know, in the book of Genesis in the Torah, it says in the beginning was the word, right? What was the word? Well, probably Om, actually. So mantra has a lot of resonance with our human structure and bringing the angelic and the divine structures to us. So I thought we could all use mantra for this few minutes together. I would say for at least 5 minutes, we could meditate together and receive some healing from all of these beautiful mastery program existing students, and from me as well. I'll transmit to everybody. So the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, and maybe you've never used the mantra before. Fantastic. Om Namah Shivaya, and I'll put it big on the screen so that everybody can see it. Namah Shivaya is one of the most ancient mantras on our planet. You could say it's one of the oldest prayers of humanity. And on the surface level, it means Nama, I bow, like namaste, right? To Shiva, the infinity of God. That's one level. It also means I'm bowing to that in myself. That's the next layer down. Deeper level, Namah Shivaya, Na, earth, Ma, fire, Shi, sky or ether, Va, the water element, Ya, the air element. It's saying all the elements of nature in their natural and their supernatural component are contained in me, and I'm connecting to that. It's essentially helping us balance and heal at the sort of fundamental level of our system through the 5 elements of nature. So it's a very powerful mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. And the way you use it is you're just repeating it in your mind. So I would encourage everybody, get comfortable, close your eyes, unless you need to read the mantra, in which case it's there. And take a moment to think, what is your need right now? Maybe you have a healing need. Maybe you have a challenge in your life. Maybe something needs dissolving. That's a problem for you. Or maybe something that you're wanting to create or generate in your life needs a blessing. Whatever it is, just hold your intention for a moment and get quiet and open your heart and start thinking Om Namah Shivaya, and everyone here will transmit a beautiful healing to you. And then I'll sing a little closing prayer at the end so we know it's done. How about that? Shanti, shanti, shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Oh, shanti, shanti, shanti. May all beings be happy and blessed, and may the energy we generate here go to the whole world to create peace. Take a moment to thank all the divinities for the healing and the transmission and the peace, including Kalashwar, Shirdi Sai Baba, Jesus, his mother, and all the great ascended masters who are with us today. Thank you. So that's a taste of it. And if you're interested in finding out more about this mastery program, you can drop me an email. I will put my email address in the chat. It is a funny email address, Baba's Kitchen, BABASKITCHEN, Babas and Kitchen together, one word, at numeric 123, not spelled out, but numbers 123, mail, MAIL.org. And also, if you would like to know more about the mastery program, you can find us at ucbk.org. I will put that in the chat as well, so you can have the straight link to it. And you can find there's a page on the mastery program, which I will also put that direct link in the chat. 1 second. And I hope to hear from everybody. And I hope that this has been a illuminating conversation. And I really want to thank the folks in the mastery program right now for sharing so beautifully and so openly about what they've been experiencing. There, I put the link also to the training itself, so you can read more about it and see the details. And feel free to contact me if you're interested, and we can talk more deeply about how it looks, what's at stake, and how the year unfolds. And I wish you all a great day and massive, wonderful inner peace, and little lighter maybe, and a little more consciousness coming into the rest of your day. So thank you all so much for being here. It's been a joy, and see you very, very soon.
Thank you, Alex.
Oh, so welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye for now.